Hello and welcome to another beautiful location on the Cumbrian coast. My first destination in this video is the Victorian seaside resort of Seascale. The name Seascale is thought to be derived from the Norse word skali, which is spelled Skali, which means hut or shelter by the sea. Seascale's history stretches back to the Vikings, being an early Norse settlement. For centuries thereafter, it was quiet farmland until the arrival of the Furness Railway in 1849. During the 1880s, Seascale grew into a small Victorian seaside resort, famed for its long beaches and easy access by train. The town itself is around 33 miles to the northwest of Barrow in Furness. The railway station opened on the 19th of July 1849 as Seascale for Gosforth. The station was renamed in 1866 to Seascale for Gosforth and Westwater, but it was renamed simply Seascale in 1955. Originally, the station had one platform, but the line was doubled in 1899, with the station having two main platforms along with a bay. The station building was larger and there was a goods yard to the southeast, able to accommodate most types of goods, including livestock, and was also equipped with a 3-ton crane. The purpose of the goods shed was to ensure that items of a higher value could be kept dry whilst transferring them to and from railway vans. During World War II, the building came into use as a lookout for fire watching along the coast during German air raids. The goods shed has now been converted into a sports hall for the local community. Today, there are train shelters, passenger information displays and seating on both platforms, and all trains stop at this station. There's no doubt really that this station is just a shadow of its former self, but what does stand out are the outstanding views from this station across the Solway Firth towards St Bees Head. St Cuthbert's Church is in a prominent position overlooking the village and the railway station, and was designed by the architect C.J. Ferguson in 1890. The Grade 2 listed Victorian water tower is the village's prominent landmark. It was built by the Furness Railway in 1878 to extract drinkable water from a well, which was located to the right of the tower for the Seascale Residential Estates Development Plan, which the Furness Railway Board was promoting. The War Memorial was added to the churchyard in 1921 and contains an inscription with the names of those lost during the First World War. This memorial is in memory of the 12 people who were killed and another 25 wounded after a gunman drove across Cumbria shooting victims in several different locations, including 2 people here in Seascale. In 1998, this cannon on the sandstone fort was reinstated on a plinth overlooking the beach. During the Great War, the cannon was covered so that enemy warships would not think that the village was fortified and attack. During World War II, the original cannon was removed and melted down as part of the war effort. To mark the millennium, this former wooden jetty was reinstated. It's a focal point for fishing, beach casting, windsurfing and water skiing, and provides a starting point for many of the village walks. Seascale's coastal habitat is home to a variety of wildlife, including the common adder. Adders are mostly seen in spring and early summer, basking in the sun, and I did see a number of signs in grassy areas warning of adders in the vicinity of the railway station. A range of birds can also be spotted on the beach at Seascale, including the distinctive black and white oyster catcher. Sea kale, which is a native vegetable with attractive white flowers, thrives on the beaches around this area. About a mile to the north of the town is British Nuclear Fuels' Sellafield nuclear site. It was the world's first commercial nuclear power station, Calder Hall, which operated from the early 1950s until 2004, and the Windscale nuclear reactor, which was Britain's first attempt at a nuclear reactor to produce plutonium for the war effort. And it's Sellafield Station, which is my next destination on this railway journey. Well, I've now arrived at Sellafield Station and just watching Northern 156454, which has just departed from the station, and it's stopped at the signal box. The signaller is passing a token to the driver, which allows him to proceed with the train along the single track section, which lies between this station and St Bees. There has been a station at Sellafield since 1850, when it served a number of outlying farms in the area. These days, it's a very busy freight location because much of the nuclear waste for Sellafield's nuclear fuel reprocessing plant is carried here by train from the docks in Barrow-in-Furness or from rail-connected nuclear power stations elsewhere in the UK. The facility also generates significant commuter traffic for the railway, with workers travelling by train from nearby towns and villages. The station itself is at the end of the single line section from Whitehaven, which is operated using the electric key token system. There is, though, a passing loop at St Bees Station where the tokens are exchanged. As you can see here, the station configuration is unusual in that the upline is bi-directional through the station and has platform faces on both sides. Only the eastern platform face is used, with the other side being fenced off. The purpose of this is to allow trains from the south to terminate and turn back without having to enter the single line section to St Bees. You get a good view here of the sidings for the Sellafield plant, with the locomotive depot used by direct rail services freight trains. The plant at Sellafield has its own internal railway network, which enables the site to directly offload nuclear waste from trains. The site at Sellafield had already been used to support national defence, thanks to its years as a munitions factory during the Second World War. It had a strong local workforce, it was remote, and had a good water supply in the form of the River Calder. Unlike coal, oil and gas, nuclear fuel can be reused, and it's a process that is called reprocessing. It is interesting that since 1956, UK nuclear power has saved around 2.3 billion tonnes of carbon emissions, which is the equivalent of all the UK's emissions from 2015 to 2020. From cleaning up the country's highest nuclear risks and hazards to safeguarding nuclear fuel, materials and waste, the work of the Sellafield plant is of national importance. Over 70 years ago, the site at Sellafield helped to create the nation's nuclear deterrent. The remarkable story of Sellafield is now being told through a permanent exhibition at the Beacon Museum at Whitehaven Harbour. I'm ending this video by moving to this elevated position overlooking Sellafield Station and watching Northern 156496 approaching the station and stopping at the signal box where the driver of the train will be handing over the token to the signaller. It is only by surrendering the token that the next train on the up line from Barrow-in-Furness will be able to proceed on the single track section to St Bees.